सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। दयाकरं दयाकारं दान्तं धर्मप्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि दयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We saw yesterday the verses that talk about the vision of Vedanta. Why do they talk about vision of Vedanta? Because the Upanishad is coming to an end and it is a way of summarizing what we have studied up till now. So the vision of Vedanta is talked about, and as a way of both unfolding the Vastu, Brahma Vidya, and then what the Bhagavad Gita calls as Yoga Shastra, what to do, how to prepare the mind, what kinds of accoutrements I should have, auxiliary sadhanas. This way the Upanishad switches from one to the other. Sometimes talks of preparation and sometimes talks of the vision itself. And so we saw verses talking about the vision, and now one more verse is there in the same vein, which talks about the vision, and the last verse in this particular segment, it's not the last verse, but it's last verse talking about the vision and the way of life. Here in the last verse that we are about to see today, both the vision and how to get this knowledge are presented in one verse itself. So let us chant. Esho ranuratma cetasa veditavyah Yasmin pranah panchadha samvivesha Pranaishchittam sarvamotam prajanam Yasmin vishuddhe vibhavatyesha atma. Yeah. So, because, why is this verse there? Because there is this feeling, because of the pratibandhas, the inhibiting factors to this knowledge, there is this general feeling that the Atma is far away. Even though the last verse said what? Durasya sudure tad iha antike. It is neither far nor near, it was pointed out, but still there is a kind of an uneasy tug of war with oneself and the mind. Sometimes you want the mind to know the Atma, and the mind, you put the mind on a treadmill, exercise, come on, know the Atma right now, know it as an object. You want to figure it out. And at other times one sits, the jiva sits hopelessly and says, what? Atma, I cannot know at all. It is somewhere. It is not known. The mind has no place to know. So what should I do? Go to another ashram, because here it's all about knowledge. Yeah. Go to another ashram and sit deep in meditation, because the feeling is, if I am not experiencing Brahman, that means I don't know Brahman. It's like the story that Pujya Swamiji would tell all the time. And in those days, there was not much flights. The Dehradun airport was just had newly opened, and one small little 10-seater plane would fly, I think 2 times a week or something, from Delhi to Dehradun airport. And then tiny plane, tiny seats. Swamiji was sitting. Next to him, a very big man came and sat down. And he was so big that he himself opened the handle in between the 2 seats, because he was not fitting. So he was practically sitting in Swamiji's lap, because he was so big, he could not help it. So then they fell into a conversation in this short flight, and the man said, "You're a Swami?" "Yes," Swamiji said. "Oh," and he fished in his purse and in his pocket, in his wallet, and he said, "I am going to Rishikesh to meet this Swami." And he was not sure of the pronunciation, so he showed the chit of paper on which he had written the Swami's name. What did it say? Swami Dayananda. So Pujya Swamiji, when he tells the story, he would tell it in such a way. He would say that, see, it was not for want of experience. He was definitely experiencing Swami Dayananda, was he not? Yes, the whole time in the flight. And whether he was experiencing Swami Dayananda or not, Swami Dayananda was definitely experiencing him, because he was practically sitting in his lap. And so, but what is not there? Recognition is not there. Recognition is not there. It's not for want of experience that the Atma is denied. Brahman is not denied for want of experience. Brahman is denied for want of recognition, as though denied. So this one thing we have to to complete the story, Swamiji toyed with the idea of saying, well, you know, this Swami travels a lot or whatever, just some vague answer he could have given, and then surprised him when he came to see him. But then Swamiji said in his own inimitable way, that Dayananda which you are looking for is what? This Dayananda. See, this is again a very important teaching which will help us to understand this mantra, because the words this and that are never used in the same sentence to refer to the same substantive. I cannot, for example, say that door is this door. It makes no sense, because the words that and this are opposite to one another. That is aparoksha. This, the preposition this is referred to things that are right here. That is paroksha, this is aparoksha, right here available. So, the words this and that do not really go together to describe the same thing in anything. So, because that means what? Tad Deshakala Vishishta Swami Dayananda. that Swami Dayananda which is qualified by, conditioned by, again we have to use as though, that Swami Dayananda qualified by, conditioned by that place, that time. What is that place, that time? When this man sitting next to the Swamiji found out about Swami Dayananda and wrote his name and made a ticket, booked a ticket to India from wherever he was coming from, some other place, somewhere in Europe. So made a ticket, booked a ticket, made the effort to come and see that Swami Dayananda of which he had heard and written down on this chit of paper. So that Swami Dayananda who is immortalized on that chit of paper is what? Is a Swami Dayananda that is what? Conditioned by, qualified by, as it were, that place and that time. And now what has happened to him? When Swami Dayananda ji, Pujya Swamiji advertised that Swami Dayananda that you are looking for is what? This Swami Dayananda that in whose lap you are practically sitting. So then what happened? That and this became one. So tat deshakala vishishta Dayananda. The Dayananda that is qualified by, conditioned by that time and that place is actually none other than this Dayananda qualified by this time and this place, conditioned as it were by this time and this place. So that and this are what? One. They refer to the same thing. And why did I refer to the first one as that? The first Dayananda, why was it referred to as that? Because it felt far away. It felt far away, and things that feel far away are called what? Tat, that. So the tat, quote unquote, becomes a tat. How? Because of recognition, not because of experience. That is the first thing we have to understand. The tat, the that becomes this because of, not because of experience, but because of understanding, recognition. That which I had been really wanting. This man had been wanting to meet Swami Dayananda, very much so. That longing for Swami Dayananda, to meet Swami Dayananda, to study with Swami Dayananda, to greet Swami Dayananda was all there, and that desire is actually what? Who came to that desire is now understood as not at all far away from him, sitting right next to him, so to speak. That desire has culminated in this recognition that I am never away, I am not away from what I am seeking. This is the moral of this story. Only Pujya Swamiji could do this. He could take all the experiences and make them into very assimilable lessons that help the understanding. And so here too, we have to understand that Brahman appears to be far away from me. Even though I want to experience it, I am always experiencing it. The one who says I am not experiencing Brahman is doing what? Experiencing Brahman. Experiencing Brahman in what form? In the form of lack, in the form of doubt. What is doubt? Doubt is Brahman. Feeling of lack is Brahman. Feeling I am not experiencing is what? Brahman. Experiencer is what? Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Sarvam khalvidam Brahman. This is the one thing we have to understand. The second thing we have to understand is that if Brahman were to be an experience, and many people talk about it as a special experience. If Brahman is to become a special experience, what would happen? It would come and it would go. An experience or a state is that which comes and goes, that which has a beginning and which has an end. So Brahman cannot be an event that happens to the self. If Brahman is an event that happens to the self, the event being time bound will make Brahman doubly time bound, will make the self doubly time bound. So then if I say, I got enlightened at, what is the time now? 8:31 a.m. 8:31 a.m. on the 13th of April 2025, then this is a statement that is fraught with a number of doshas, errors. That means the self is finite. And the event is what? Event is limitless Brahman, that limitless Brahman which comes and alights on the self, comes and sits on the self. What is that event? What is that event? That event becomes timeless. If the event becomes timeless, then Brahman becomes what? Subject to time. There can only be one timeless, we have seen that. Two limitlesses even logically cannot coexist, because each limitless, so to speak, is delimiting the other. There can only be one timeless, one limitless existence. And if the so-called Brahma Jnanam is an event that happens to the self, that event becomes timeless. And if that event becomes timeless, the self is what? Time bound. So even if the self is visited by this event that is timeless, the self will be, after the visitation of the event, what will the self be? Still time bound. The time bound, if the self is time bound, it cannot become timeless. And so therefore we are in this awkward situation full of logical errors. Therefore it cannot be an event, because an event by definition is time bound. The event by definition has a start date and an end date. This is a 3-day event, this is a 1-day event, we say that. This is a morning event, this is an evening event. It's all time bound. So therefore the second reason why you cannot have a special Brahman experience is that even if you were to have a special Brahman experience, it would be what? Time bound. And anything that is time bound is not Brahman. We know that. Therefore the penchant, the desire for nirvikalpa samadhi, all these things have to be kept away, put aside, along with other desires. See, we are very choosy. We know very clearly, okay, I am giving up, for the sake of Brahman knowledge, I am giving up movies, malls, balls, but I will nurse a desire for nirvikalpa samadhi because it's a spiritual desire. Well, it may be a spiritual desire and you may get something out of it. What will you get something out of? What will you get out of nirvikalpa samadhi? That even this experience comes to an end. Even the non-dual experience, so to speak. If non-duality were to be an experience, then even that comes to an end. And then in a way you go to nirvikalpa samadhi every night, no problem. Every time you go to sleep, as I have said many times, whether it's in the classroom or in your room, in any room, when you go to sleep, what is going on? Yeah, you are one with Ishvara. Moksha is what is going on, except you are not awake to understand. But still there is a cultural and a communal obsession with the experience of Brahman, and this is categorically corrected for us in the following verse, in this mantra. Eshoranuratma chetasa veditavyaha Yasmin pranah panchadha samvivesha Pranaishchittam sarvamotam prajanam Yasmin vishuddhe vibhavatyesha atma. So, eshaha anu atma. Anuhu means atom. This atomic atma. And Adi Shankara immediately warns us, don't think the atma is as small as an atom. So, even in the Kathopanishad we have Anoho Aniyan, smaller than the smallest atom. That means what? Okay, Atma is a little speck somewhere. What kind of a speck? A microscopic speck. You need a microscope to see this. Some kind of scope you need, and because this Atma is very small. But Adi Shankara makes sure that we don't go there, because there is no scope for this argument. Why? Anoho Aniyan, Mahato Mahiyan, it is followed by larger than the largest, smaller than the smallest. And here, therefore, Eshaha Anuhu Atma. Anuhu Atma means subtle, that which cannot be objectified. Just like the atom is very subtle, in those days they didn't have microscope, but they knew of the existence of atoms, particles, etc. So they knew of the existence, and Eshaha Anuhu Atma Veditavyaha, must be known. Why? Because it's you. The subtlest of the subtlest thing in the whole universe is you. And that is subtle because it cannot be objectified, much less experienced as an object. It can neither be objectified nor be experienced, because it is the content of every experience. It's the truth of the experiencer, it's the truth of the means of experience, it's the truth of the object of experience. So therefore, it is Anubhuti Swarupa. It is in the form of all experiences. It is non-separate from the experiencer. And the bridge between the experience and the experiencer also is Atma alone, in the form of eyes, etc. And so therefore it cannot be experienced as an object, and being self-revealing, it need not be experienced as an object. Why? Because it is constantly experienced as aham, aham, aham. As we saw in the Viveka Chudamani, aham, aham, aham iti sakshat sakshirupena buddhehe bhasate. Asti kaschit swayam nityam. There is something that is shining by itself. Aham pratyaya lambanaha. That is understood as I. Avasthatraya sakshi san. That which is the witness of all the three states. What are these three states? Frazzled, upset, happy. No? Yeah, just checking. Yeah. Farewell quiz. Okay. Yeah. So, sleeping, dreaming, finally waking. In all the three states, that which is the witness of the three states, Panchakosha Vilakshanaha, that which is not any of the koshas, and upon which all the koshas, the five koshas, Annamayadi, depend. And then Sakshi Rupena Bhasate, that which does not shut up, it says I, it advertises itself, it is Anubhuti Swarupa. But here it is Anu, because it's not recognized as such. It is Anu, subtle. Veditavyaha, this is, towards the end, the Mundakopanishad is tightening up everything, including the arguments and including what must be done. Tavyaha has, as I have told you, the pratyaya called Tavyaha has the force of an injunction. Must be done. And must be done. So, Veditavyaha, must be known. This Atma must be known. How should it be known? Chetasa, third case. Chetasa Veditavyaha. Chetasa means what? By the mind. What did the Kenopanishad say? Yat manasa namanute. Yena ahur manomatam, that which cannot be figured out by the mind, but the mind is figured out by which presence, that is Brahman. Tadeva Brahmata Tvam Vidhi Nedam Yadidam Upasate. We saw Kenopanishad in the lifetime just before this one. Okay? Yeah. So, in the Kenopanishad, what did it say? That which cannot be figured out by the mind. Here, what does it say? Chetasa Veditavyaha. It must be known by the mind. Is there a contradiction? Say no, so we can move on. Yeah. You know, if I ask a question, is there a contradiction? What is the answer that is expected? No, exactly. It's a rhetorical question because Shastra cannot have either internal or external contradictions. So this would be an internal contradiction. And again the Kathopanishad, when we study it, it will say, Manasa eva idam aptavyam. This must be gained only by the mind. So here, when these kinds of so-called contradictory issues, sentences come, we have to see what is meant. And Adi Shankara helpfully supplies that there is no reason to fret here. Chetasa is third case, and the third case is what? Instrumental. Karane Tritiya. Karane Tritiya means it is an instrument to knowing. It is not an agent of knowing. There is a difference. Mind is not the kartru. Mind is not the karta. Mind is not the agent of this knowledge. The knowledge is happening in the mind, but the mind is not an agent of this knowledge. It's not the manufacturer of this knowledge. It's not the author of this knowledge. It's not the agent of this knowledge. It has nothing to do with the knowledge except provide a particular locus, a shining locus where the knowledge is assimilated. So the mind at best is upalabdhisthanam. Upalabdhisthanam for what? This Atma. And the reason why it is obfuscated, the mind is not understood as the upalabdhisthanam of the Atma, is because we are confused. Why are we confused? Because the mind is also the upalabdhisthanam, a place where the knowledge of the Jagat takes place. So the knowledge of the Jagat takes place where? In the mind. And also by the mind, because I am constantly objectifying the things in the Jagat. Sun, moon, stars, sky, trees, water, mountains, temples, ashrams, riverbank, everything I am objectifying. So when the mind is put as the cognizer of the Jagat, when the mind is the Jagataha Upalabdhisthanam, it's not merely an Upalabdhisthanam, it is the Kartru of the knowledge of objects, it's the Karta of the knowledge of the Jagat. It's the doer. It says, this is sun, this is moon, it's the namer. And it's the objectifier of the Jagat. But the same mind now has to become what? The knower of the Atma. And what is the orientation? To objectify. That's why this verse says, it is not an object. Here the mind has no role. Here the mind has no role at all. The mind has just to be an obedient thing where it allows, it gives up kartritvam and allows for the knowledge to take place. Just like a person in their own family, what are they? They are the boss. They can order people around, they can order the children around. Hey, why you are not studying? You are supposed to be studying, you are supposed to be doing this. They can tell the younger child, and the older child who is not going to work, they can scold. What do you think you are going to do? Who do you think is going to take care of you in the old age? Get out of the house. Find a job. I told you to study. You didn't even study, and now you are not even taking up a job. Get out. No more handouts for you. No pocket money for you. And this person is, righting the family, making everything right, showing the bala, showing the how the person is an agent in the family, an agent, a force to be reckoned with, and suddenly the boss comes. Whose boss? This person's boss. And in front of the boss, your wish is my command. Whatever you want will happen. Don't worry. No, you haven't taken. Now the boss is yelling. The boss is screaming. I told you to take care of it. You haven't taken care of it. Children are happy now. Yeah. So the boss is screaming, and in front of the boss, what is this person? Mild-mannered, hands joined together, palms joined, folded together. Prahvi bhava, bent over in humility. And so similarly, the mind is also like that. In the first instance, the mind is cognizing the Jagat, it is the boss. In the second instance, the mind is recognizing the Atma, but not as an action. It is the servant of this knowledge, and that is what is the purport of this verse. Very beautiful mantra. So, Chetasa Veditavyaha, this is what it means. Yasmin not Chetasi, Yasmin Sharire we have to supply. Yasmin Dehe, because that Yasmin is not clear. Yasmin means where? Yasmin means it's a location. Yasmin means in which, not in which mind, in which body, pranaha panchadha samvivesha. In which body, yasmin sharire, this prana has entered, so to speak, in a fivefold way. Samvivesha means has entered in a fivefold way. So, pranaihi, here the word with another obfuscation, another place of unclarity. So, we have to alert ourselves. The first prana means what? Fivefold prana, because that's what it says. Panchadha, in a fivefold way this prana has entered. There is another word prana. Where is it? No, not second line. Wrong. Read again. Huh? Yeah, third line. Third line, first word, pranaihi. That prana doesn't mean prana. What does it mean? Sense organs. Pranaihi means indriyaihi. Indriyaihi. Okay. So, pranaihi. So first let us look at this. Yasmin sharire pranaha panchadha samvivesha. That self has to be understood by the mind alone as a instrument of this knowledge, and in which body the mind is located, and which body is animated by the prana which has entered this body in a fivefold way. So why is this mentioned? Why should I be interested in the prana entering the body? Because the prana entering the body is the only way we know consciousness in a tangible form. The presence of consciousness and the presence of the Sukshma Sharira in the form of the prana go together. Because even the rock has consciousness, but it has no Sukshma Sharira, therefore it cannot say to you, hello, I am meeting you now and I am Brahman. It cannot say to you. It cannot greet you, therefore it joins the multitude of objects in the universe that cannot be self-evident. So the entry of the prana in the body is the sign of this body becoming animated by Sukshma Sharira and gaining what is called sentiency. The mind shines in the borrowed light of consciousness, and the mind becomes capable of authoring the whole Jagat, naming the whole Jagat. Except it cannot name that entity which made it conscious. It cannot name, it cannot objectify. It doesn't have the purview, it doesn't have the pramana, it doesn't have that knowledge, it doesn't have the capacity. So pranaihi means now we are talking of sense organs. If this much is understood, we can go to the third line. The pranaihi chittam sarvam otam prajanam. Prajanam means all the people. Prajanam, for all the people. And then the pranaihi chittam mind. The sense organs, the sense organs and the mind are pervaded by what? Consciousness we have to supply. It is not given there. Pervaded. So pranaihi chittam sarvam otam. Otam means what? Otam means pervaded. Pervaded how? Adi Shankara says very beautifully, kshire sneham iva. Kshira means milk. Kshire, in the milk, sneham. Sneham means what? Fat. You look at the milk, you don't see any fat. You say, I'm not drinking fat, I'm only drinking milk. But then you become fat. That's how you know that the milk was full fat milk. How do you know it is full fat milk? Because it has a effect on the body. But if you, even with a magnifying glass, if you look for the butter in the milk, you will not find the butter in the milk. So therefore, otam. So otam prajanam. Otam means it is pervading the minds and the bodies and the sense organs of all the people. What? This very consciousness that one wants to experience is already there, already pervading the body-mind sense complex of all, not only just one person, the sadhaka here, but all the people, even the people who are not looking for Brahman are pervaded by what? Brahman. That is the idea. They are also pervaded by this Atma alone. Sarvam otam prajanam yasmin vishuddhe, in which clear mind. See, the construction is not very clear. Yasmin vishuddhe, we have to add manasi. Yasmin vishuddhe manasi, meaning yasmin, not like in which, it is not a regular saptami, it is absolute locative construction. Sati saptami, meaning yasmin vishuddhe manasi, meaning when will I know this? When will I know that this consciousness pervades the bodies and minds of myself and all other people? When the mind is clear. Clear of papa punya, clear of raga dvesha, clear of guilt and hurt. Then vibhavati. Vibhavati should be read as vibhati, revealing itself. Yasmin vishuddhe manasi vibhavati yeshaha atma. Then only, so the first three lines talk about the vision and the last line talks about what to do to get the vision. Very beautiful. What to do is antahkarana shuddhi. Antahkaranam is so called because it is a karana. It is an instrument for gaining this knowledge, and so the instrument has to be sharpened. How is it sharpened? We saw earlier in this Upanishad itself. Munjam ishikam iva drishya vargat pratyancham atmanam anantam avyayam. So from the Drishya Varga, from everything, all the objects, just like carefully separating the I from Anatma, not I, how like one opens the shoot of the blade of the grass, called munja grass. In fact, that grass was what was put as upavitam, what is upavitam? The thread, sacred thread at the time of initiation. That grass was woven together. That's why the ceremony is called Maunji Karanam. So, this munja grass is a sacred grass, and for certain oblations in the yajna and also for certain offerings to devata, etc., what do you have to do? You have to, the grass is protected by a shoot that is very rough to the skin, and so if you just touch it, even in passing, there can be bleeding in the hand. And so therefore, without hurting yourself, it has to be peeled back, and if you do it too quickly, either you will hurt yourself or the grass shoot inside will be broken, the tender grass. So we have the blade of grass in which the shoot is hidden. That shoot we saw earlier is Atma, is likened to Atma, and that blade is the external Anatma, by which it is pervaded, by which the Atma pervades Anatma. So the Anatma Varga, the group of things called Anatma, first have to be put away in order for the mind to calm down and recognize the truth of itself. So that we have already seen. So here also, this Yasmin Vishuddhe Manasi, when the mind is clear of ragadveshas, of desires to go to heaven, to do this, to do that, of agenda, of also kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, of difficult emotions. When the mind is healed of all that, then what happens? The Atma reveals itself, because it's not that at that moment the Atma reveals itself. The Atma was revealing itself all the time, but it is more evident in this moment when the ragadveshas subside. That is the idea. The mind does have a role, but what kind of a role? The role of being an instrument. Now, mantra number 10, which is the concluding mantra, I think, of this particular chapter, this sub-chapter of the third Mundaka, 3.1 concludes with mantra 10. This is the phalashruti, phala of this knowledge. Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati Vishuddha sattvah kamayate yamshta kaman Tam tam lokam jayate tamshcha kaman Tasmadatmajnam hyarchayed bhuti kamaha. How many people think the last line should be rechanted? Okay. Tasmadatmajnam hyarchayed bhuti kamaha. Much better. Yeah. So the phala of this knowledge is given in the last mantra, very fitting. And then it's a little bit of a surprising phala, and we'll see what it is. Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati. Yum yum is not English yum yum when you get something good to eat in the dining hall. Don't say that that's the same thing. No. Yam yam means whichever. This is the Sanskrit way of putting it. The vipsa is there to show whatever. It is to show the repetition. So here, whichever lokas, yam yam lokam, whichever loka, the manasa samvibhati. Samvibhati means samvanchati, desires. samvibhati. So the person of knowledge, the description of the Jivan Mukta, the Jnani who because of the Vishuddha Sattva, because of the sharpening the mind, etc., and preparing the mind for this knowledge, has gained the knowledge. What is the phala of this knowledge? How is this Jnani's day-to-day life? Shrinu, listen. And so the Jnani's day-to-day life is a fantastic and pleasant life. Whatever loka the Jnani thinks of, lo and behold, it is right here. Oh, supposing the Jnani thinks, oh, I wonder how it will be to go to heaven. It's not that the Jnani will suddenly die and go to heaven. No, it means that the heaven is experienced right here, right now. It's like the best form of instant gratification. Why? Because what is heaven? Heaven is also Atma. Heaven is Brahman. And so for the Brahmajnani, heaven is never away. The best meaning of this mantra has to be taken like that. Whatever the desires may be there, first of all, the desires are not there for the Jnani. Even if the Jnani, let's say, sports a few desires, after all, the Jnani was called Atmaratihi Atmakridaha. When was the Jnani called that? Yeah, few days ago. Day before yesterday, to be precise. Atmaratihi Atmakridaha, the Jnani was called, means the one who just sports in the world, for whom life is just a leela. And so such a person, even if they have certain desires, those desires are immediately fulfilled. First meaning is this. How are they fulfilled? First meaning is Brahman being everything, and whatever they desire is never away from them. Second meaning is a little deeper and has to do with the convention. And what is that? The Jnani becomes what is called Satya Sankalpaha. Satya Sankalpaha means that if one is Sat and lives in this truth that everything is Brahman, nothing, no objects of desire is away from oneself, because one is like Ishvara. So Ishvara doesn't have to desire. Oh, I wish I could just have something. I can't even give an example because I have no idea what Ishvara would desire. Ishvara being everything doesn't have any desires, because all the objects of desires are what? Non-separate from Ishvara. So here too, all the objects of desires being non-separate from the Jnani, and if the Jnani has any desires, if anything mentally is thought of, immediately it appears. It happens to people studying Vedanta also, because as one studies Vedanta, the desires go down. And as the desires go down, even the small desires that one has immediately comes true. You think of a person and the person is right there, or the person sends you a text message later on, or the person appears, or you see them somewhere. And then you say, it's a long time since we had gulab jamuns in the dining hall. And then you go there, lo behold, gulab jamuns. Yeah, except you were a little late, that's all, yeah. The last jamun went into the hands and then the mouth of the brahmachari standing in line before you, right before you, that's all. That's because of some prarabdha. It's not because of Brahman, okay? So like this, yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati, then all that, all the kamas come true to this jnani. Why? And the same thing is talked about in the Taittiriya Upanishad. There it's explained differently. Sarvan kaman brahmana saha samashnute. So Brahmana saha samashnute, all the desires get fulfilled in one fell swoop. Here Brahmana saha doesn't mean the person fulfills all the desires sitting next to Brahman or along with Brahman. No, this is Itham Bhute Tritiya. a rare use of the third case, which has to be in this form, in the form as Brahman, the person imbibes all the objects of desire, because no object of desire is separate from them. Therefore, the raga dveshas are not there. Anything I want is right here, right now, and everything is Brahman. I am this Brahman. What if the jnani is a diabetic and cannot eat the aforementioned gulab jamun? Jnani cannot eat. Will the jnani have regrets? Because surrounded by gulab jamuns, here a jamun, there a jamun, everywhere jamun, jamun, but cannot eat. Will the jnani have regret? No, because the jnani will know that it is only I who is eating through every mouth. Through every mouth. When the gulab jamun goes into the mouth of so-called another, it is my mouth only. Because everything is me. Everyone is non-separate from me. So, the jnani delights, because the jnani is no longer having one gulab jamun, because has deserved this one gulab jamun, the jnani can have 300 gulab jamuns all at once. Eats through many mouths, experiences the kamas through all the people and all the karanas of all the people. So therefore, this is a beautifully put phala of the jnani. And then yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati vishuddha sattvaha. Vishuddha sattvaha means jnani, jivan muktaha. So, why? Because the jnani, Adi Shankara says, sarvatmanam atmatvena pratipannaha saha. So, sarvatmanam, all the atmas, atmatvena pratipannaha. The jnani has accomplished the enviable situation of understanding all the people, all the minds, all the bodies as oneself alone. Atmatvena pratipannaha. Therefore, everything is being oneself. All the desires are immediately fulfilled, because Brahman is all. Tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman. Tam lokam jayate. So whatever the lokas, the desire, lokas means lokyate iti lokaha, fields of experience, all the worlds that are there, and the desires in the object, desirable objects in those worlds gains. Tam lokam jayate, wins, conquers, gains all the worlds and the objects in the worlds just by a mere thought. Then tasmat, therefore, atmagyam hi archayet bhutikamaha. Bhutikamaha, therefore, the desirers of material things in the world, what should you do? Go worship the feet of a atmagyani. Atmagyam hi archayet. What is the connection? Because the atmagyaha, the knower of the atma, he or she becomes Ishvara, becomes again within quotes, was always Ishvara, has recognized oneself as Ishvara. And why do people go to Ishvara? To fulfill all their desires. To fulfill their desires, people go to Ishvara. And so now the jnani becomes an altar of worship for those who have many kamas. This is hidden somewhere. This line is hidden somewhere in the last mantra of the second last khanda of the Mundakopanishad. But this is widely known. Everywhere it is known. All over the world this is understood. Everywhere this is understood. Without a doubt, without a fail. Especially in India. In rural areas, they don't even know such a book called Mundakopanishad exists. They don't know. Much less have they studied it. But this they know, that the person of knowledge, any Mahatma, coming in orange dress, because the benefit of doubt is given. If one is in orange dress, people assume that you know. And so, or you have studied. They assume that. And so, whenever I have had a chance whenever I had the chance to go with Pujya Swamiji to rural areas, this mantra came to life. This mantra came to life because in one place, I think I told this story, somewhere in Andhra Pradesh, going there with Pujya Swamiji, all the people were milking the punya from his legs, from the knee downwards. And it was very painful, naturally. If 100 people are trying to do that. So we formed a human chain, all of us that were present, so that they would just do namaskar from far away. But then this one person had the bright idea to have the baby blessed by Pujya Swamiji. And then everybody, look at the Shraddha there, everybody was throwing their infants directly into Pujya Swamiji's lap from far away. So from being a human chain, we became baby catchers. So it was raining babies. So like this, the Shraddha of the people shows that somehow this mantra is understood by the people at large. Because if somebody does not want anything, they become the altar of all your wants, like Ishvara. See, when you go to Ganesha and say, remove all my obstacles, I am offering you 108 laddus. Om Pranaya Swaha, Apanaya Swaha, Vyanaya Swaha, Udanaya Swaha, Samanaya Swaha, Brahmane Swaha. And then you count. Is it 100? 8 of them he polished off? No. It is still 108. Intact it is. If all of them he siphoned off, next day he will only make one. Okay? Human nature being what it is. Devaha paroksha priyaha. They are happy just inhaling the laddu. Literally. They are not wanting to eat it. So they are happy with the fact that you have offered it. They don't want your laddus. They give your laddus back along with all the desires that you have asked for. And so the people know that just like Ishvara is an altar of refuge for all the desires, the Jnani becomes an altar of invocation of Ishvara for all the desires, because the Jnani has one thing in common with Ishvara. Both of them do not have desires. They are not akamahataha, they are akamahataha, kamena nahataha. They are not destroyed by kama. They are not hijacked by desires. So they are free enough to become an altar of desire for me and my own kamas. And so therefore the Atmagyam hi archayet, may one worship the Jnani even if you don't want moksha. Let's say some person, most people who approach the Mahatma do not want moksha. They don't even know there is such a thing as moksha. They want familial happiness. They want prosperity, abundance. They want a steady job. They want their children to do well in school. And if they have done well in school, they want their children to do well in college, marriage, every other situation. They want their house to be secure, if they have a house. Otherwise, they want a house to live in. And if they already have a house, they want a bigger house. This is what is called bhuti kamaha. The person who has these kinds of desires is called bhuti kamaha. So, the one who desires bhuti is called bhuti kamaha. So, bhuti kamaha means the bhuti is opposite of mukti. Mukti means freedom. Bhuti means material things in the world. In this world of becoming, so what they want is, in this samsara, this ocean of trying to become something else or something or the other in order to have a little bit of satisfaction in the world, oh Jnani, please give me this or that. Please teach me some swimming strokes so that I can stay afloat in the ocean of samsara. Once in a while I may go down, glub, 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 but then I have to come back. So therefore I need your blessings. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. And then so Atmagyam hi archayet bhutikamaha. Let's see if we have left something out. Yam yam lokam manasa samvibhati tam tam lokam jayate tamscha kaman. Who Vishuddha Sattvaha Kamayate Yamscha Kaman. Whatever the Vishuddha Sattva, the Jnani, with a pure heart desires, then Atmagyam hi archayet bhuti kamaha. So, may the person wanting material boons in the universe, may they worship the Jnani. Why? Because since the Jnani doesn't want anything, the Jnani becomes an altar of your wants, and then an effective altar, just like Ishvara, and then if your prarabdha allows it, then it comes true also. Now, what is the reason? There are two questions this verse raises. It should raise. First thing is, why should the Jnani be described as the one who can manifest all the desires? This is an interesting question. Because after all, what are we trying to do? We are not trying to have desires. So after Jnanam, if the desires are fulfilled, what is the use? What is the use? After Jnanam, if the desires are fulfilled, it's like locking up the gate after the horse has run away. Horse has run away. And then you say, oh, I should lock the gate so that the horse doesn't run away. But what has happened here? Horse has already run away. Here too, all the ragadveshas have run away. And so what's the point of the Shruti saying that, oh, the Jnani will get all the ragadveshas fulfilled? Here, very beautifully, Pujya Swamiji used to explain that the style of the Veda in the Phalashruti, it's got a particular style. Because the first portion of the Veda, which is a desire fulfillment treatise, always will say, if you do this, you will get this. Even our shlokas are like that. Shivalokam avapnoti shivena saha modate. Rejoices with Shiva, gains Shivaloka if one contemplates on the Panchakshari shloka. Like this, every shloka has got Phalashruti, which is coming from the first portion of the Veda. And since Vedanta is also part of Veda, the same kind of Phalashruti continues. But then the second reason why it is there is to show us that when we don't want something, it will be there in plentiful. So what to do if I really want something? Stop wanting it. Yeah. Stop wanting it, let it go. Don't say I have let it go just by the words, but still want it in the heart. Really let it go. When you really let it go, everything is yours anyway, to show that it is given. And with this, the teaching portion concludes, and then we still have a few verses that ties up the few mantras that tie up the loose ends, and then Adi Shankara doesn't take them very seriously, and he quickly explains and goes beyond them. And so we will also be taking the last mantra not in so much detail, so that we can cover it. When is the next Mundakopanishad class? Tonight, 8 o'clock. All right, so that we can have a little bit more time. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo